Hello ratbags, it's Jade. Welcome to Green Hell, one of the toughest survival games you'll ever play. I've put a bunch of time into this with many deaths and many frustrating hours, so I thought I'd better do a little guide and show you the best possible start to this game and then show you some tips as well. So make sure you're liking the video, go and check Green Hell out of early access, full release right now, and come into Nintendo Switch and hopefully Xbox and PlayStation 4 very soon. It seems a bit obvious, but there are some difficulty settings that you can change it to. Green Hell, even on just normal basic, is still one of the toughest things I've ever played. I'm not going to go through everything, you can go and read it for yourself, but basically just decide whether or not you want to make the game a little bit easier by either turning creatures off, turning hunger off, turning tribespeople off. There's a variety of ways you can customise your game. When you've done all that and you finally spawned after the first intro and you're talking to me or trying to work your way out, have a little look around and see what's going on. You'll notice that fruit spawning, items on the floor, it's all changing every time you start a new game. The game seems to procedurally generate exactly how much fruit is going to be falling at any one time, and basically makes it a really good replayable experience. You're not going to find the banana tree right on the right here with sprouting fruit every time you start the game. I got really lucky on this first start. So it can make some guides a little bit difficult. We have to talk a little bit more generally, and you need to look out for what exactly plants are going to give you fruit so you can come back to them in the future. Undoubtedly, this is one of the things that makes Green Hell so hard. But if you're lucky enough to see this banana plant, absolutely make sure you get all the fruit from it by reaching right up to the top and grabbing the bananas. After that, don't bother drinking the water. It's pretty obvious, but it's still unsafe no matter how nice it looks. You're going to come across dirty water as well, and again, that is even more bad for your health. You can collect water in various ways, which I'm going to show you. Moving your way up the landscape, and to the left hand side you should see the cliff faces. In that cliff face there is a small cave entrance. Along here you're going to find an obsidian stone just in the entranceway. While you're going up, gather lots of sticks though. You can take 10 small sticks and 10 normal sticks, and you'll find them all around this area. Gather that obsidian stone, and like I said, you can make an obsidian axe with it in a while. To the left hand side, the cliff side, you should come across this little gully, go across the wooden log, and you'll enter the next phase. This is pretty much a starting area. You don't find many dangers here. You're not going to find too many predators, but be warned, you can take damage if you fall even from that height and landing awkwardly. Make your way across, be careful. On the right hand side there's a rattlesnake, and if you go further to the left hand side while going down, you'll find a red ant mound, and this can cause you to get a rash and basically get something not very nice. These mushrooms are avoidable as well. They're like spider mushrooms, that's what I call them. They will not be good for you, just like that rattlesnake's not good for you. Now there is a plant, I think it's the tobacco plant, that actually helps cure poisons. But for now, you're pretty much lumbered with this, so this is why you must not go near it. There are some mushrooms that are really edible, like these little yellow ones that actually glow in the dark. They'll help you regain your sanity, and that's important as well in the game. You don't want to start seeing hallucinations, making it harder, so keep some of these on you. If you have been poisoned, you need to look for that tobacco plant, but hopefully you've watched this and you'll avoid that rattlesnake. I have got a video giving you all the information about all the poultices and the cures for all the ailments coming very soon. If you do contract it though, just restart this again. Green Hell absolutely lives and dies by trial by error, eating items, taking risks and seeing if it affects you. But it's really harsh in that you've got to create your own save points a lot of the time, and so for the very first part of the game you won't have them save points there. You'll have to start all the way from the beginning, so be very careful. These are the mushrooms that you want to eat if you've got parasites, and that's something else that can really damage you. They'll help cure it, but just make sure you are clean, you haven't got the marker on the bottom left hand side. I'm going to talk to you and show you that in a while as well. So that's not how to survive. We're going to start again, but I did want to just highlight how easy it is to pretty much ruin the game and die. Back across the log, and like I said, you want to be having sticks in your inventory, 10 of the small, 10 of the normal, and you're just going to keep gently going down, sticking to the left hand side. You're going to come to another little river, and pretty much they all mostly lead to the same direction. We're going to find an abandoned village. Using 2 stones to carve yourself a knife, get lucky and find an armadillo. If you're really lucky, you can hear them squeal, so they're not that hard to spot, and just keep after them. If you run after it, it will stop, and then you can literally just gut it, and you've got some first kill and pieces of meat. Don't worry about cooking it or anything like that. I'm going to show you a quick, easy way how you can have lots of meat to start off with. So right now your health pool's pretty good, your food level's pretty good. The only thing you can see on my screen right now is that I'm dirty from carving out that armadillo. You need to wash it off. If you don't wash it off and you start eating any foods, you've got a risk of giving yourself a parasite. So whenever you do see that symbol, try and get some water and wash it off. You can get up to 4, 5, 6 before something else will happen. But like I said, the first chance you get, go into the water and you should be able to wash it off. Top tip for this one, I spent 2 hours looking for this plant. I kid you not, in the second stage of the jungle past that log. This plant is going to help you progress through the story mode. So it's very small, you can see the red berries. Hack away at it with either a knife or a axe and you should be able to gather it up in your inventory. You only need one of them, so don't worry, don't need to collect any more. Just keep it on you now. Try not to die, and that's going to help progress the story really quickly. Parrot feathers are key for arrows, so whenever you get a chance, take it with you. But try and not gut it as I'm doing right now. You want to keep it with you and take it back to base before you start gutting it, because you have the meat starting to go off a lot quicker. Although in this instance, it's okay because I'm going to be doing something else with the meat rather than cooking it or leaving it to rot basically. Up the log or on the left hand side of the river, that's where you want to be. Don't go too far to the right, keep going along here, and then we're just going to keep going over the little crest of the hill and we're going to come to that abandoned village. First though, we're going to come to a little spot where we're going to find some boars. Well, they're not actually boars, but they're very similar to piggies or boars. Now that blue mushroom, I haven't actually tested what it does thoroughly yet, so for now maybe avoid it or only eat it once you've saved your game. Here's the little piggies, here's the little boars. We're just going to keep going through this area, through the colourful plants, and you could come across this little path here. Just keep going past. The coconut's dead handy, worth getting right now as well. Go ahead and whack it a few times and it will reveal the coconut, and you can simply drink it straight away or just take it with you for now and you'll be coming very handy very soon. This is pretty much the primary way that you're going to get clean water when you first start the game. Go ahead and harvest the coconut chunks out of it. That's something as well that's going to give you vital fats. And then you should have 2 coconut shells that you can literally just drop on the floor and they'll start gathering rainwater. So you're here at the ruins of an old village. This is not a safe spot. You will often come across other enemies. As the game progresses, it actually gets a bit harder. I can't verify this for sure, but I do notice that as the days roll by, I come across more enemies. I've had tigers or jaguars appear in this encampment. I've had enemy tribesmen appear in this encampment. So it's not exactly the safest place to be, but it does offer some bonuses. You've got the story content to go through. Most vital of all is the map. Make sure you pick that up from the ruins there of the fire, and then just look around and see what's going on. We've got a dry spot here for you to put a fire or to put any items that you want to just drop off. You have a hammock on your left and you've got a bone knife, so that's really useful as well. If you haven't managed to craft a knife for yourself, the bone knife is pretty good too. This way you can sleep, but not yet. We're going to, in fact, probably not sleep that much. Just gathering all the little bit of extra resources. Banana leaves aren't that useful yet until you get a sort of bamboo structures going. That's what you're going to be using as your roof. And there's a few other bits and bobs like sticks and stuff around here. Now here's one of the best cheats in the early game. You've got a dryer. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to set it on fire. You simply just put the meat on this dryer and it will cook it or dry it over time so it's safe to eat. Drop your coconut shells off so they start gathering water, but we're not actually going to be here that long. The idea being we're going to make the next story section kick in, and that replenishes all your health, all your stats so that you're okay, and you can pretty much open up the rest of the map. To do so, we need to put the ingredients in this bowl just through the other side of the little village there. You can see there's also a banana plantation and there's usually a dead parrot or 2 here. Gather all the resources from that, particularly the meat and obviously the feathers. Like I said, they're going to make loads of arrows. Behind the ceremonial bowl, you'll notice quite a thick tree. This is very different from some of the other trees. It's got 2 types of vines on it. One makes rope, and this vine is actually going to be part of your secret brew that's going to progress to the next stage. The vines, obviously, they're usually hanging from any sort of tree, but these thick ones only grow on these type of trees. You only need 1, so don't worry too much. Go back to your bowl, and we'll need to craft a fire now underneath it to get the bowl going. You can also press M and take a quick look at your map and see where you are. That's where we need to get to, and we're currently at the encampment on just the crest of that river. Placing your fire underneath the bowl, it pretty much does it automatically when you go to build. You just need to fill it up with your twigs, and if you've been paying attention, you should have enough twigs to do it. I've been crafting a little bit, so I do need to pick up a few. As I said, it's a bit random what happens to you. You might have come across an enemy by now, but with a bit of luck you haven't. I have got some leeches on me, so make sure you're paying attention to that bottom left UI, and that magnifying glass being there means something's wrong. Make sure you click off any of the leeches. As long as you haven't been poisoned by anything, that's probably the worst thing you're going to have to worry about, unless you've gone really all the way around exploring. Fill up the fire, make sure it's all done, and then we've got to make a fire drill. But just before you do that, put your pieces of meat on the dryer. If you've got more than 3 pieces I've got, go ahead and put them on there. It's going to take forever. You can see how slowly the tiny little bit of white that's going around in a circle, when that goes all the way white, that means it's cooked. So you can see it really does take a long time. Don't worry, just leave it there, and by the time we've got back, you'll have 3 pieces of dried meat that are going to give you lots of protein and no food poisoning. So a hand drill, I'm using a plank that I've got from a log. You just simply dismantle it or craft it, and then craft the plank with a stick, and that gives you your hand drill. You may need some dead palm leaves that you might have to chop down. Usually when you chop down a palm tree with an axe, you'll come across lots of palm leaves, but there'll also be some dead ones or dried ones, and that's what you're going to be making into your tinder. But you can also use herbs. You'll find a big leafed herb sometimes, and you can actually make that into a fibre, which is what I've done here. I'm rattling through some of these processes because I'm assuming you've played it a little bit. This is a guide for showing you how to get through the first stages a bit easier if you had problems like me, because I really did struggle for about 3 hours getting up to this point. You can see I've made my little stew now though, put the items in, and we're ready to go. Spoilers are ahead for the story. If you really want to avoid it, you can go ahead, but there are a few little things that you might miss if you're actually not paying attention to these little scenes. There's some little notes you can read, and there's also a little bit of extra help with a map as well. I have cut it down for time though, just to show you the extra little bits you can find. You can see Mia there being approached by the locals in a not very friendly way. If you actually go past that and look on this bit of paper, it actually shows you a map of your journey so far. And while I'm not 100% sure it's going to be useful later on, it's well worth maybe taking a screenshot with your mobile phone or a PC screenshot, just in case it might help out a bit later on. Touching Mia always progresses the next scene, so there's another thing that you might miss out on. It's a note from Mia's notebook. It pretty much recants the story a little bit more, showing exactly what happened to you a little bit more when you fell and lost your memory. And in that same scene, you can see the kids here play with the walkie-talkie. Press that and you get just a little bit more extra blurb. The final scene, you'll actually find another little notebook just past the Mia there talking to the head chief. In one of these little hammocks, you've got a notebook, and again just gives a little bit more backstory. Touch Mia to progress, and we're nearly there. We're nearly through the first day. So you're back in your encampment and you're getting Mia sort of wax your ear off chatting away, and you'll look, your dried meat is nearly ready. Something that usually takes literally hours is now only going to take a few moments. I've found another coconut out, and I've got more water, and this pretty much gives you one of the best starts in the game. With the meat more or less nearly done, all we've got to do now is create a save point, and we've got through the first part of the game, or the first part of Day of Survival, in relatively ease. In fact, it's still not even the first night. As you can see, it still says 0 days. So what you do lose a little bit by rushing through this section is your skills there. You just saw they're necessarily not going to be building up. You can increase your skills so you can basically be quicker and you get more resources out of crafting when you're using a bow and you've got successful shots. It all just builds up your little stats over time. But to be honest, I feel like this section is obviously more of a tutorial, but it's still not open enough that you get the full benefit of the rest of the game. So that's why I kind of rush through it. Anywho, picked up my meat. Now I'm making all my arrows, 2 feathers and 1 small stick, and you've got your arrows. I've been collecting all the dead parrots I can find, and if you had good craft look around, you should be able to find 2 or 3. That's going to give you more than enough feathers that you've got a good 7 or 8 arrows. It usually only takes 1 arrow to the head for a lot of the creatures if you're looking for meat. When it comes to defending yourself, you may need a bit more. Really hard to use a bow and arrow at the beginning. Like I said, you do need them stats and that practice. It goes all over the spot and you don't have much time to steady it, but it's something definitely you've got to master. Now let's make our save point. You can see there's different varieties you can do it. I'm going to be doing a frame. You can make a small shelter and that's pretty useful as well. Just having it only needs small sticks and some palm leaves, and it's pretty simple to make. Something like either this small shelter which needs a little bit more logs, or this hut shelter which is probably the easiest or quickest one. But I wanted to give something a go and start maybe thinking about having a little base here, so I've decided to go for the frame. You build a frame, it does require a little bit more resources, and then you've got to cover the frame with an actual palm roof. Taking the extra time to get the resources to build this here means that you're in a good location. You're going to be coming through and out of this encampment in the early stages. It can be a good waypoint for you while you're progressing and doing more missions and trying to just basically survive. So I thought it'd be better to have an actual base rather than just a save point. Find a good spot, maybe near the encampment, but maybe not directly inside it. As you like said, you do get jaguars come past, and you do get tribesmen come nearby as well, and you should be good to go. I decided to be a little bit closer than I thought, and I found in the end we'd actually go across this little bit of a river on this tiny little island. It looks really full, but you can start clearing it out of all the trees and the bushes, and so you will be able to give yourself a bit more space. And like I said, it may be just my first base, but I still wanted it to have somewhere a little bit more extra protection. If the bars are yellow, you're going to need to clear some space. If they're red, obviously you just can't plant it there, or you're in the wrong position. But if you jiggle it a bit around, you can see there is a spot where you can place it. You can go ahead and explore the rest of this area, and you might find somewhere really nice to build, but you are risking actually losing all your progress because you haven't got that save point. So before you do, make sure you do build some sort of save point before exploring any further. And you can see nighttime is approaching, so we have to be a little bit quick now. Might be worth crafting an axe to help you chop down some of the trees a little bit. You're going to need at least 4 logs and then a lot more long sticks. You're also going to need 4 ropes, so you need 4 of that twine, but you do get some twine that falls from some trees sometimes when you chop them down. 1 stone, 1 normal stick, and you've got yourself a stone axe. You're going to make pretty quick work of most trees, although don't maybe go for the thickest tree, as you'll often actually break your axe before you've cut down the full tree. You can last about, I don't know, 2 or 3 of these style size trees, and you can still use your knife if it comes down to it, your stone knife or the bone knife if you've still got it. Place all the bits in. You need to place the 4 logs that are holding up the frame first. Then your 4 long sticks or so, in fact it might even be a bit more than 4. Got some liana that's fallen from a tree that I've chopped down. Logs, if you dismantle a log, you'll only get a piece of plank from it. You do need to cut down these skinnier trees if you want longer sticks. You should get at least 1 log and at least a couple of long sticks. So you can see my axe gave way there. We're going to be doing something else now with the blade that I've got. The blade I was using quite a bit. It's gone down to 3%. What you can actually do is make a pickaxe. 2 rocks together makes the blade. Either use an old one that's nearly worn out, save it, don't just chuck it away, or craft a brand new one up like I'm doing right now. But you can see I've got my old one. I'm going to use that first. 1 stick, the blade and some rope, and you've got yourself a stone pickaxe. Just a really quick tip way to get yourself some extra resources without having to keep crafting loads of stuff. You can see that it's got about exactly the same durability as a pickaxe would have done with the brand new blade that I made. All my logs in place. Pop the final bits of rope on and we're good to go. We can now start getting our palm leaves. Now you'd think all these leaves are palm leaves, but they're not. You need the one with a thick trunk. You can also go ahead and use your pickaxe to chop it down. There you go. You can gather up 6 of these in one go. It's probably going to cost about 11 or 12 palm leaves to put a roof on it. Now you have to actually make the palm roof, so put it there, and it takes a bit of fiddling around, but eventually when you're far enough away it will go on top, and then you can simply place them all. And there you go, you've got it complete. You've got a save point at last. Now whenever you've got one of these things, whether or not it's a hut that you can actually sleep in, be careful. When you sleep, you don't automatically save the game. There is a button, or there is a direction you've got to face to actually get it to say save game rather than sleep. So before you sleep, always save your game no matter what, and save your game pretty much every time you do something. You can see there the buttons there. Like I said, on the small huts it's very small, it's easy to miss. You think you're saving the game and sleeping, and that's pretty much why it took me so long in the first one I did, because I wasn't saving the game. I was actually just thinking it was going to do it when I slept. So it's nearly my bedtime. All I've got to do is just wash off all the dirt and grime I've accrued. You can see I'm doing it there, and then I'm going to sleep in the hammock. Take my last bit of dry food off as well, and that lasts nearly like 3 days, 4 days, maybe even longer than that, rather than meat that actually runs out pretty quickly, only after about 24 hours. We're getting a few last minute bits done, like drinking, crafting anything else up, go through the talky bits, pressing T. That does run out though after a while, the battery runs out, so you have to wait a little bit of time for it to charge, and it charges by sunlight, and you can simply then click on your hammock, fall asleep, and your first day surviving in Green Hell is complete. Fully charged, saved my game, got through the first part of the story without any too major instance, and it just saves so much time, and it really gets you to grips with it. It's such a hard game. Take my advice, follow my steps, and tell me if it worked for you. I'll be going through the next phase of the story. It gets even harder, I kid you not. Top tips, make sure you have got at least 2 or 3 pieces of dried meat with you at all times. Make sure you've always got some of the mushrooms that cure parasites, because it's really easy to get that, and that can slow you down, and it also decreases your survival rate because it makes you want to drink more and stuff. You're going to come to sections where keeping clean is really important, because when you start eating when you're dirty, that's another way that you're going to contract lots of parasites, and it can really damage you long term. And instead of breaking a coconut in half, actually just drink the water and turn it into a coconut canteen. Mix it with a rope and you should be able to make a bidon, and that's what you can use to transport clean water from the half broken coconut shells into a full coconut that will keep you going while you're travelling around. And save every second you do something. If you're going to eat something, save your game, then try eating it, just in case it does do something you didn't expect it to. Hope this has been helpful. Hopefully I've showed you how to survive the first night of Green Hell really efficiently, and now you can go off and explore the rest of the jungle, go and see the points of interest. The next video I'm going to be showing you guys is how to get the grappling hook really super quick and easy. So until next time, rat bags, don't forget to like, go and check out my little let's play of Green Hell, and I'll see you guys later on.